The very warmest of welcomes to you indeed to the Silk Road and Baku, Azerbaijan. This is the FIG Artistic Gymnastics World Cup qualification for Paris 2024. The National Gymnastics Arena, purpose-built for this sport, is filled up with gymnasts who believe they are purpose-made for the Olympic Games. The question is, will they be? This is a very gruelling process. We wish the best of luck to every single athlete competing, not just this weekend, but at all of the World Cup events. This is the third of four. Doha next month concludes the entire World Cup Olympic qualification process, and after that, the path becomes very, very narrow, with just a tiny amount of continental spots available through the championships for the different continents that are forthcoming in the spring. The bar is set high. It has to be. It is the Olympic Games. It must be fiercely difficult to get there. It is the pinnacle of the sport, the pinnacle of all sport. And from 2 rings to 5, the dream of all of these athletes who are using this for Olympic qualification. Will they be able to do it? Some of the athletes that are competing this weekend are not using this for Olympic qualification, as I'm sure many of you know. For them, it's part of the preparation process for the Games if they've already secured a place, or to make their case to be part of the teams that their nations have qualified for the Games. If you have already won a spot named for you at the World Championships, then you cannot qualify through the World Cup events. These are Apparatus specialist qualification pathways. So if you won one of those Apparatus spots at the World Championships or one of the all-around spots, then your job is done. It's simply about preparation now. If you are representing a team that has already qualified a berth to Paris 2024, again, you do not need to worry in terms of your nation being part of the Games, but the spot is not named for you. You just have to persuade the national selectors that you are ready and worthy of being part of that team. And for many of the teams that have qualified, it's going to be a fierce fight to get into those squads. Again, best of luck to all of those gymnasts for whom national championships will be of paramount importance as well. And that leaves the rest of them, those gymnasts who have not already qualified, those gymnasts who are not part of teams that have secured a spot at the Games. They are attempting qualification here in Baku, as many of them were doing in Cottbus a couple of weeks ago, in Cairo the week before that, and will do in Doha in just a few weeks' time. 3 of 4 World Cup performances count, so you can discard one if you have the luxury of being able to compete at all of those World Cup events, and not every gymnast is in that position. These are the nations that are represented here in Baku. Just a short stroll from the Caspian seashore, and hopefully a safe journey into the harbours that lead to Paris 2024 for all of these competitors. Only 2 spots available in each pathway, and we're bringing you 5 pathways today, 5 Apparatus finals, and it all gets underway now. Welcome to Baku 2024. Also the AGF trophy, which I'll mention later, a unique quirk of the Baku World Cups. Ollie Hogben here, and it's a great pleasure to have your company for the Baku World Cup of Artistic Gymnastics, part of the Paris 2024 Olympic qualification process. We have 5 finals coming your way. The men's floor exercise will be first. The finalists in the men's floor competition, with Ryu Sang-hyun of the Republic of Korea, the second best in qualification. He goes first, having won in Cairo and taken the bronze medal in Cottbus. He is very well positioned in terms of the Paris 2024 race. Let's have a look at the finalists in more detail. Ryu Sang-hyun, 21 from the Republic of Korea. Yuri Guimarães, 20 from Brazil, champion at the continental level. Minami Kazuki of Japan, World Championship medalist twice on this apparatus. Ukraine's Ilya Kovtun, winner of 20 gold medals at World Cup level. Igor Sharamkov, individual neutral athlete. Edi Penev of Bulgaria, who's come in as the first reserve due to Milad Karimi's withdrawal. Carlos Yulo of the Philippines, who has been a world champion on this piece. Arel Benovic of Croatia, European Championship silver medalist in 2020. And coming into the first reserve position very late on, Benjamin Osberger of France, another very elegant gymnast on floor, and somebody who got very close to a World Championship medal in Liverpool in 2022. Another look at those finalists for the floor title. Ryu Sang-hyun, second best in qualification. Minami Kazuki, the top performer in qualifying. He will go third in the order. And we keep an eye on Igor Sharamkov, individual neutral athlete, who has been a World Cup champion on floor. Well, it is a very tense time, isn't it, for all of these athletes. Not just those who are attempting to qualify for the Olympiad, but for those athletes who are hoping that their form comes together in just the right way, building towards Paris, hoping that there are no injuries. Let's begin. Ryu Sang-hyun of the Republic of Korea, 14.366 in qualification, the second best. He's looking very good for a spot at Paris 2024 based on what we've seen so far. Oh goodness, that was an awkward beginning. Did well to keep upright and to stay in bounds, minimising the deductions as best as possible. This is the gentleman who was fourth at the last Olympics. He's been desperate to get back there ever since and to try to push just one place above. Ryu Sang-hyun of the Republic of Korea gets his final underway. Or gets this final underway, I should say. He concludes his final, and he's very close to concluding his qualification process for Paris 2024. The young man who's really held his nerve throughout this high pressure sequence of World Cup events. Started so brilliantly with that gold medal in Cairo. First tumbling pass here was a little off axis, but he seemed to take something of a deep breath and get it back on track. Got stronger as it went on, and some nice form demonstrated in flight. He's a student at the Korea National Sport University, following in the footsteps of his hero, Yang Hak-son. .133. So he's down by a couple of tenths from qualification. Certainly didn't look as sharp execution-wise. Yuri Guimarães of Brazil from São Caetano in São Paulo State. Nice secure first tumbling pass. He was the South American champion on floor a couple of years ago, or about a year and a half ago. And then won a silver medal at the Pan American Championships last year. This is looking good so far. He was 10th in Cairo, so didn't quite make the final, and he didn't make any finals in Cottbus. But it's the 5th best in qualification here. He's come out and really attacked this. Oh, good save. Really good save. And every little save that you make can gain you an extra position, can gain you extra points, can get you closer to Paris 2024. Well done, Yuri Guimarães. That was a nice display from him. Now, he scored 14.166 in qualification. Gets good amplitude. It's an interesting one to compare to Ryu, because some of his form at the apex of the tumbling passes is perhaps not as tidy as the gentleman from Korea Republic, but his landings for the most part were really much more tidy. Difficulty wise, he was a couple of tenths shy in qualification of Ryu. .9. So again, that difference of 2 tenths of difficulty, basically the only separating factor between them. To the experienced Minami Kazuki of Japan, silver medalist at the last World Championships, matching what he achieved at home in Kitakyushu in 2021. Unsurprisingly, the top qualifier, 14.466. He is renowned for his innovative, stylish twisting work. He gets so many rotations in. a very nice still handstand. I always think he travels so quickly and so efficiently. And that's a lovely, secure exit from the twist. Well, that's lovely. Very enjoyable gymnastics from Minami Kazuki of Japan. Top performer in qualification. Back in 2020, he was a strong performer in qualification at this World Cup, and it was such a sad World Cup event in Baku in 2020. It was right at the start of the pandemic. The gymnasts were sent home right after qualification. They were not able to complete the finals. He's somebody that we have not seen an enormous amount internationally, like a lot of Japanese gymnasts, because the strength in depth is so strong. But whenever we see him, he is always a medal contender. And I think he is a gymnast who is playing it on the safe side in terms of the difficulty. 14.666 execution up from qualification. He goes into the final. He's certainly somebody who's got more in his book of tricks. We move to Ilya Kovtun of Ukraine, 8th best in qualification. Just to go back to the gentleman we just saw, Minami Kazuki, not going for Olympic qualification here because the Japanese already have a team spot. And the same applies to the athlete you're watching here. And I think I speak for the entire gymnastics world when I say we're all rather looking forward to the parallel bars final to come, and a clash of the titans. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, just stay watching, you'll see soon enough. Huge congratulations to the young man who at only 20 years of age secured his 20th World Cup gold medal in Cottbus. It's a great accomplishment. And it's a secure beginning for Ilya Kovtun of Ukraine. So after the first three, it's Minami Kazuki who leads the way, unsurprisingly. So 13.366 for Ilya Kovtun. Difficulty down by 4/10 from qualification, and I think much of that due to his third tumbling pass. He seemed to be missing a little of his difficulty there. Warm-ups completed, or virtually completed, for the second half of the men's floor final. Just reflecting on Kovtun and missing out a little difficulty there in his tumbling pass, and Minami Kazuki not producing exactly his full-scale routine. We just remind ourselves the Olympics are a matter of months away. We're really close to Paris now, and some gymnasts are choosing to perhaps play things a little conservatively. This is Igor Sharamkov, individual neutral athlete. He's going for qualification for Paris 2024. Did well to stabilise that pike landing, or the landing out of the pike position, I mean. He was 6th in Cottbus. Really wrapped in tightly in the double tuck. Now he's one that we need to keep a close eye on, because he was the 7th best in qualification, but with an execution score of 7.766. His difficulty was very high. Indeed was the highest of all of the qualifying finalists. Very nice physics demonstrated on the Wendeschwings. That's very interesting, isn't it, from Igor Sharamkov, individual neutral athlete. Bronze medalist at the European Championships in 2020 in Mersin. He didn't make any finals in Cairo, so the pressure really did notch up significantly after that World Cup for him. Coming out of the pike position and the tuck position, he was well on axis for landing. Quite a lot of stability shown. One imagines from an execution standpoint it will be a vast improvement. From what we saw in the qualification campaign. Should be right up there, this. Oh, he's gone well into the lead. 14.933. The execution almost a full mark stronger. He's gained about 8/10 from the preliminary round. So Sharamkov, big result for him. Really big result in terms of his Paris prospects. Now to Edi Penev of Bulgaria. We just remind ourselves that Penev got the bronze medal in Cairo at the first Olympic qualification event. Then he was 17th in Cottbus, so this is of great importance for him. And he has come into this final as the first reserve, courtesy of Milad Karimi's withdrawal. Could he turn this into a position of great advantage? Most interesting from Edi Penev of Bulgaria. No wonder he reacts the way he does. He only found out that he was going to be competing this morning So it's Sharamkov ahead of the World Championship silver medalist, ahead of Ryu. That little buffer zone provided by Minami over Ryu is useful for Sharamkov. But Penev as well is part of the conversation. He's 33, Eddie Penev. Graduate of architecture from Stanford University in the United States of America. And he did represent them for a short time. He's now returned to the nation for which he competed for several years, over a decade ago. 14.166. He is in third position, and what he's done is push Ryu Sung-hyun down into fourth. Well, well, well. Oh, by the way, here's the world champion from 2019, Carlos Yulo of the Philippines. Third best in qualification, 14.333. Winner of 12 World Cup medals, 4 of them gold, and capable of exquisite beauty on this piece. He has a lightness of touch. Just a little crisscrossing of the feet if one is being on the pedantic side. But so much style throughout. Oh, what a nice steady landing that was. Good toe point. He just had a momentary adjustment going into the handstand. Oh, well, not the most secure of conclusions to that display from Carlos Yulo, but again one that he did well to hold. Now, he qualified for the Olympic Games through the floor apparatus route at the World Championships in Belgium. Sharamkov leads. Big for him in terms of Paris 2024 qualification. Penev third, big for him in terms of Paris 2024 qualification. Ryu in fourth place, and Minami Kazuki, who is not eligible to qualify for this route, is second. I hope all of this is making some modicum of sense. It is a complicated qualification process, but it needs to be, to provide pathways for all-arounders, for teams and for apparatus specialists in this beautiful and diverse sport. Didn't have the easiest time of things at the last World Championships. Carlos Yulo, 14.366, just up by hundredths from qualification. We have only one gymnast to go, and absolutely the best of fortune to this young man. Aurel Benovic of Croatia had a rotten time in the final in Cottbus, finished 8th. He was well off his qualification display, but he's had dreadful injury troubles in the last year. It was triumphant that he made it into that final. And he is really full of capacity and style on this apparatus. having not made any finals in Cairo and having not made the final in Cottbus, then it means that the path does not look particularly clear for him, nor does it lead to the destination of his choice. But it's nice that we get to see here from Aurel Benovic the sort of routine that we know is there and that we've seen over the years from him. Do not ever forget about this young man. He's a very special gymnast on floor, and his comeback from injury has been a very rough one. He missed the last World Championships, and it made his whole qualification process for Paris 2024 extremely difficult. But that just gives us a little reminder of what he can do and how much fun it is to watch him. .833 for Aurel Benovic. It's well up from his performance in Cottbus. The classified results in the floor competition in Baku: bronze for Carlos Yulo of the Philippines, silver for Minami Kazuki of Japan, and what a result for Igor Sharamkov, individual neutral athlete, 14.933. He has won the gold medal. Eddie Penev also doing very well in fourth place. And now to one of the great Baku World Cup traditions, the dance that everyone in the crowd has to do. There's a group of gentlemen in the middle there who've really got to give it some more. Let's have a look back at the best of the action from this men's floor final, and the bronze medal to Carlos Yulo of the Philippines. Japan's Minami Kazuki winning silver. And the title won by Igor Sharamkov. Two more finals coming your way in just a moment or two. We'll have the women's vault and men's parallel bars finals. Very much in keeping with how these World Cup competitions work in Baku, Azerbaijan at the National Gymnastics Arena. We're running a little ahead of schedule, so the next two finals due to begin in 8 minutes' time. So you might just have a chance to pop the kettle on and steady your nerves for what should be a very, very interesting men's parallel bars final. And from a women's vault perspective, what could be a great occasion for a couple of gymnasts who are close to pulling away from the rest of the pack. The action continues now in Baku at the National Gymnastics Arena, and this weekend of Olympic qualification in artistic gymnastics. The men's parallel bars, the women's vault, the next events to take place. In the women's vault, it could be something verging on a coronation for a couple of gymnasts who are very close to mathematical certainty and the Olympiad itself. When it comes to the men's parallel bars, we've got ourselves a blockbuster as two superb performers on this piece go head to head. Let's have a look at the vault finalists. The veteran Macarena Pinto of Chile, the 35-year-old, three-time South American Games medalist. Chimène Lemaitre of the Netherlands, senior international debutant. Congratulations to her on this special occasion. Deepa Karmakar of India, the 30-year-old who was fourth at the Olympic Games in Rio in 2016. Natalia Escalera of Mexico, who was fifth in Cottbus at the most recent World Cup, bronze medalist at the Pan American Games. Jasha Kiselev of Slovenia, European Championship finalist a few years ago, and Mediterranean Games medalist. Valentina Georgieva, 17, from Bulgaria, top qualifier, and the silver medalist at the first two World Cups. There's the champion from the first two World Cups, An Chang-ok of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. And we also have an exciting gymnast from Panama, Carla Navas, the sixth best in qualification, but she won a bronze medal in Cottbus. That is not Stephen Nedorozic of the USA, because those were the pommel horse qualifiers they were starting to bring up there. So we've had Matsumi Kazuki of Japan, followed by Ilya Kovtun of Ukraine, second best in qualification. Mohamed Afifi of Egypt, lovely gymnast on this piece, third best qualifier. Angel Barajas of Colombia, junior world champion on the parallel bars. And there is Zhou Jingyuan, the reigning champion of the world and the top qualifier. Harald Vibia of Norway, the reigning national champion. First ever World Cup final for him, congratulations. Oleg Vernyayev of Ukraine, the Olympic champion from 2016. And Josimar Calvo of Colombia, winner of 35 gold medals across a range of Pan-American and South American competitions. Golly, what a parallel bars final it's going to be. We've got the last two Olympic champions there. We've got Ilya Kovtun, the man of the moment when it comes to World Cup competition. Well, the man of many, many, many moments when it comes to World Cup competition. Mr. Consistency at World Cups. The vault finalists at the Baku World Cup. Top performer in qualification, Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria. Silver medalist in Cairo and Cottbus. She'll go sixth in the order. Right after her, the winner of both of those titles in Cairo and Cottbus, An Chang-ok of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, who was the second best in qualifying this time. The parallel bars finalists and the top two in qualification. Zhou Jingyuan of the People's Republic of China, who will go fifth, and Ilya Kovtun of Ukraine, who will go second. Kovtun 5/10 behind the 15.766 posted by Zhou Jingyuan. Kovtun with higher difficulty, Zhou with higher execution. But Zhou with higher execution is one of the phrases that we use most commonly in the world of gymnastics, because he is absolutely delightful on the parallel bars. Now over to this women's vault competition. And how interesting it will be to see what Georgieva and Anne produce, because they're looking like runaway leaders for those 2 places. Just to restate it, 2 spots available in each pathway for the Olympiad. It almost works with these World Cup events to think of them not as individual finals so much, although we celebrate gold, silver and bronze each week, but to think of the apparatus itself as a pathway to Paris over 4 events. And that's where maybe a little linguistic idiosyncrasy comes into play, because if you're watching from the United States of America, I know that event there is a very common term to use to describe the apparatus itself. But just to be clear, I mean the events in terms of Cairo, Cottbus, Baku and Doha. And wherever you're watching from, welcome. It really is great to have your company. I know that for some of you this is an unsociable time of day to be watching. Caspian Sea time is quite early on in the day for many watching in the English-speaking world. So however you're propping yourself up, whether it's with coffee or a good sturdy breakfast, well done to you for being part of it. And if you're watching it on replay, well, you did your best. Try not to fall asleep. We see the vault final ready to begin. Warm-ups just completed. Natalia Escalera has performed her last vault. Last warm-up vault, I should say. And it will be an absolute veteran with a great story to perform first. The first time that this gymnast got onto a World Cup podium was almost 15 years ago in 2010. She has 5 medals at this level. The Chilean Macarena Pinto, 35, from Providencia in Santiago. And she's had great results in her home city over the years, including 3 South American Games medals and 3 South American Championship medals, all in Santiago. She's been on the vault podium at continental level. She's a qualified teacher who runs her own gymnastics club in Santiago. First vaults from Macarena Pinto of Chile. Likes to open her campaigns with the layouts at Tsukahara full. Macarena Pinto started her gymnastics training at a club called Palestino in Santiago. Very well-known multi-sports club, and it takes its name from the fact it was set up by Palestinian immigrants to Santiago. It was a massive settlement of Palestinians in the mid to late 1800s in South America, particularly in Chile. They travelled, believe it or not, by traversing the Andes Mountains, and I believe they used mule convoys to get their belongings to Santiago, to Chile. It was an absolutely brutal journey, and the Palestino Sporting Club is a great reminder of Santiago and Chile's legacy of being a home to Palestinians over the years. .033 for the first vault from Macarena Pinto, a jump of 3/10 from qualification. So a very good start for her. Now this is her more difficult vault. And that she was not quite as tidy from an execution standpoint with, but it's likely to be, I would say, an improvement across the board from qualification for Macarena Pinto. We'll come back to that in a moment as we go to the men's parallel bars next. Matsumi Kazuki, 8th best in qualification, 26 this gymnast from Osaka in the western part of Honshu. Last time we saw him was at the Baku World Cup last year. Has a nice fluency on this piece when it works well. The Japanese team already has a place secured for Paris 2024, so this is not a qualification event for Matsumi Kazuki. But he's producing some very crisp looking gymnastics here. Very slightly over eggs that handstand, but he shows composure to rescue it well. Oh, that's a delight of a dismount. Very nice. Very nice. So, 12.933 the average. The second vault also an improvement from, or rather the same, I should say, as qualification. That was for her handspring tucked 1.5 twist. Pinto up overall. Now we go to a debutant, almost 20 years younger than the previous gymnast, Charmaine Lemaitre of the Netherlands. And she was the all-around bronze medalist at the Junior National Championships last year. She's from Haarlem, close to the coast. And we wish her very fine fortune on this occasion of her debut at full international level. The full twisting Yurchenko to begin. Just slightly disturbed on the landing with a big back step, but she gets through it with reasonable cleanliness. She must have looked around at many of the gymnasts competing, not just in this final but across the board here in Baku, and thought, okay, I really am here now. This is serious. This is full international level, and it's a big one. And it's always a major milestone for any athlete when they get into that first final at World Cup level. .166, that's exactly as she produced in qualification. So nice and consistent. And the second vault from Chimène Lemaitre of the Netherlands. Good display from her. That was her Tsukahara with the full twist, as Matsumi Kazuki produces roughly the same as he did in qualification. And we now move to a very interesting part of this parallel bars final. Ilya Kovtun of Ukraine. 15.266 was his score in qualification. The European champion. He has back-to-back wins from Cairo and Cottbus. And so much difficulty with that single rail work. He makes light of great complexity. Little overarch, but he disguised it well, moving straight into the next part of the routine. And a position, and his dismount's good. Tiny adjustment. Ilya Kovtun. 13.166 for the first vault. 12.733 is the average. 12.3 for the second for Lemaitre. So she's up from qualification. Good final from her. Again, it's a great accomplishment when a gymnast improves upon their qualification performance in their debut final. So that's one under the belt for 16-year-old Lemaitre of the Netherlands. Deepa Karmakar of India, a 30-year-old from Agartala in the far northeast of India, about a mile from the border with Bangladesh. Fifth in Cairo, didn't compete in Cottbus. Oh, it was a little wild from a form point of view from Karmakar. Interestingly, she appears to have reversed the order of vaults from qualification. And now we are waiting for her second one. So double twisting Tsukahara vault. Well, actually what she's doing here is attempting quite a considerable upgrade from qualification. So this could be most interesting. She was the fifth best in qualifying. That was with a 4.2 and a 5.2. This is a gymnast who, after all, was fourth at the Olympic Games in 2016. She returned in the middle of last year from a 21-month ban. She's been on the podium at Asian Championship level and Commonwealth Games level, and she gets 13.4, so that represents an improvement of about 0.8 of a mark from her first vault in qualification. Well, that's very, very interesting. Real celebration from Deepa Karmakar of India. We'll come back to that in a moment because Ilya Kovtun has scored 14.9. Execution not as strong as qualification. Difficulty the same. So he's down by about 1/3 of a mark. That may well leave the door open very nicely to a gentleman who doesn't usually need the door held open for him. Zhou Jingyuan to come. Now, what about Mohamed Afifi, the Egyptian, who was 3rd best in qualification with 14.733. He has been a World Cup medalist at home. That was in Cairo last year. He's actually from the great historic city of Alexandria. Yeah, that had a sharpness to it. Just slightly resets his position, but it's very minimal. Very nice arch at the back as he moves into his tipelt. That's a good routine from Mohamed Afifi of Egypt. 10th in Cairo, 15th in Cottbus. Now, what about this from Karmakar? 13.716 average, so she's up by well over half a mark from qualification. A 14.033 for a big second vault. The handspring front with 1.5 twists for a 5.4 difficulty score. Natalia Escalera of Mexico. 3rd best in qualification, but Deepa Karmakar has just changed the game with that performance. What will we see from the 21-year-old from the north of Mexico? Just a little sideways hop on her 1.5 twisting Yurchenko vault. She was 5th in Cottbus. Didn't make the final in Cairo. So it is Karmakar in the lead. Escalera scores 13.433, an improvement of a few hundredths from qualification. Now her second vault, slightly lower difficulty, but only by a couple of tenths. And she uses the layout Tsukahara full as her second vault. 14.5 for Mohamed Afifi, just a little down in execution from qualification, but he's third at the moment. To the Colombian who won this title at the Junior World Championships in Turkey last year, Angel Barajas from Cucuta in the northeast of Colombia. The Pearl of the North, they call the city. And this youngster who started gymnastics when a neighbour saw him climbing onto the roof of the house and thought, you, my friend, need a hobby. Good effort to try and stabilise that. He's got a very difficult routine, 6.7 in qualification. His execution was way down from what it can be. But he's a very ambitious young man. He's got substance, this young man, only 17. .366 is the average for Escalera. She's in second place. 13.3 for the second vault was a good increase of over 2/10 from qualification. It is Carmacar, then Escalera, and then Pinto. 1, 2 and 3 at the halfway stage, but we still have the top 2 qualifiers to come, along with fourth place qualifier Chasha Kiselev. Angel Barajas, 14.566 in the preliminary round. Got to admire somebody who can produce that kind of difficulty at that age. 14.7. He's up from qualification. There's still room for that to grow in terms of the execution. But what he has done is go into second place. And he is somebody for whom qualification for Paris 2024 is a goal through these events. It's not the case for Matsumi and Kovtun. It is the case for Afifi. So 2 of the 4 that we've seen on the parallel bars are aspiring Olympic qualifiers. And the second half of this final will be very intriguing because we've got the last 2 Olympic champions to come. We've also got this gymnast as well from Norway, who's commemorating a first ever World Cup final today. And that's a special moment. Now, she's anything but a first time World Cup finalist. Winner of 24 World Cup honours, Chasha Kiselev, so she's just 1 away from a big milestone. There is the gymnast who has dominated thus far. gold in Cairo and Cottbus, but somebody who had a more difficult time of things in qualification for this particular event, picking up 0.1 penalties for each vault. But somebody whose difficulty is so strong. We are almost ready to resume these finals. Carla Navas completing her last warm-up. Another of the great vaulting veterans of the world, Chasha Kiselev of Slovenia, from beautiful Ljubljana. European Championship finalist, Mediterranean Games medalist. She's had some difficult injury troubles of late. It's great to see her back. And she begins nicely. Certainly happy with that 1.5 twisting layout Yurchenko vault. The form, right as she comes into contact with the table, not enormously strong, but it gets better as the vault goes on. In qualification, she scored 13.333. What a wonderful thing it is in this final that we've got such diversity of experience among these gymnasts. 13.433, that's 1/10 better than qualification for Chasha Kiselev. We've got folk who've accumulated vast numbers of World Cup honours. We've got people making their international debuts. Continental medalists. Second vault for Chasha Kiselev. Well, she has had a really good return to World Cup final action. That is very, very pleasing to see her back. Now we go to the reigning Olympic champion on the parallel bars. Zhou Jingyuan of the People's Republic of China, the graduate of Chengdu Sport University, who won a World University Games title in Chengdu last year and was presented with the gold medal by his dad in one of the most special moments of his career. And he's had a lot of special moments because he is the top man after the last Olympics and the best in qualification. He's one of these athletes who seldom concedes any simple deductions. I mean, that beautiful straddle somersault was an example. The flourish as he executes the bavzar. Very few perform it with that degree of elan. Oh, Now that did look a little off though. Just seemed to have to fight his way through the tipel, only momentarily. He's always so steady as he lands though. Zhou Jingyuan of the People's Republic of China, much to celebrate in that display. Finesse as ever. 13.033 for the second vault for Kiselev, 13.233 the average, so she's in the bronze medal position. But now we go to a serious point in the final with the Olympic qualification race. Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria. Silver in Cairo, silver in Cottbus. The 17-year-old from Sofia, now in Baku. A little step forward as she lands the Yurchenko layout 1.5. She has done absolutely superbly this season, and all of that after 18 months out with dreadful injury troubles. She is made of incredibly stern stuff, this young gymnast. She's quite an example. .866 is an improvement by hundredths from qualification. She's so close. You have got to admire this extraordinary young athlete. There were many who thought we would never see her again. And she has defied everyone. 14.9 for Zhou Jingyuan. Now that 8.1 execution score seems to suggest that a full mark has been deducted for what is probably that tipelt issue that he had, where he seemed to come down and maybe touch the apparatus. That's probably been given as a full fall. That's remarkable. We very seldom see that from him. Now to Harald Vibjerg of Norway. Massive congratulations to him on his first World Cup final. He's the Norwegian champion. He's a very bright young man, a graduate of law and economics from Oslo Metropolitan University. Now doing his master's degree, aiming to practice law when he's finished his work as a gymnast. A little bit of a battle there. There's some nice work on display from 24-year-old Harald Vibjerg of Fredrikstad in the southeast of Norway. Now for Georgieva, look at that second vault score, 13.733 for that lovely full twisting Tsukahara vault. Beautifully performed. She goes into the lead, 13.799. It's a great story. And her execution has trumped the difficulty of Deepa Karmakar, whose vaults were much harder but certainly not as comfortable looking. We go now to An Chang-ok of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. 13.566 in qualification. If she matches that here, she will only finish third. What she has got is a difficulty cushion that a lot of others do not have. Now that looked to be, execution-wise, much tidier than the preliminary round. And as it is a double twisting Yurchenko, then it's 8/10 higher than some that we've seen, and 4/10 higher than others that we've seen, with either full twist or the layout 1.5. Champion in Cairo, champion in Cottbus, and the reigning Asian Games champion to boot. .9, way better than qualification. The execution is up considerably. Now this is where she absolutely has got the potential to go into a leading position. Oh, she was very compressed as she landed, and how upright she was. Well, we'll come back to it in a moment. Harold Vibia, 12.9. So unfortunately he's down quite a bit from qualification, but he does demonstrate some nice gymnastics. It's been left open, hasn't it, because of Zo's uncharacteristic issue with the tip belt. Oleg Verniaev of Ukraine. .533 in qualification, 7th best. The Olympic champion from the edition before Tokyo, where Zo won the title. He's having a few stability issues early on. Oh, didn't he get some height there? That was lovely. Got a lot of height in the Bavsar, possibly at slight expense of some of the leg form. Just a little off here and there in some of his placement. Had to work hard to stabilise that dismount. There will be quite a few incremental execution deductions in that performance. Now we come back to An Chang-ok. She's in second, 13.783. She's down 1/10 for her Cheng vault from qualification, and that means Georgieva is ahead and is looking absolutely superb now for Paris. So just to give you those numbers again, Georgieva 13.799 and 13.783. To Carla Navas of Panama, the bronze medalist in Cottbus. She produced a stunner of a second vault. Let's have a look at the first. Slightly tentative landing from the layout, Yurchenko 1.5. But my goodness, she has developed enormously as a vaulter, this 19-year-old of late. Slightly jarred landing, that's all. Pan American champion the year before last. It was in Cottbus that we saw that remarkable second vault. 13.566 for the first. She's up from qualification. She reacted with euphoria when she successfully executed her round off half on front layout with a full twist off. 5.2 difficulty. She had some issues with it in qualification. 7.566 execution score. Oh, I say, she really has made improvements as a vaulter. Carla Navas of Panama. 14.566 Oleg Vernyayev. Not on the podium. Now we go to Josimar Calvo. Josimar Calvo, 14.733 in the preliminary round. Really needs a strong display here after getting bronze in Cairo and then finishing 8th in Cottbus. He had some issues with his Bavzar in that World Cup, slipping off the edge of the bar. Oh no! Oh, that is agonising. Twinge felt in the shoulder and probably felt in the heart as well, and the hearts of many who are huge fans of this super gymnast, Josimar Calvo. Just to remind you that 3 strong performances are needed across the 4 World Cup events. And this has been a nervous-looking final, even for those who are not aiming for Olympic qualification. Josimar Calvo, the veteran Colombian. After problems in Cottbus, problems in Baku. Now then, it's 3rd place for Navas. She's done it again. You can't keep her off the podium. 13.733. That second vault, again, so well performed, just as it was in Cottbus, probably better here. Classified results in the women's vault competition. It's gold for Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria, silver for An Chang-ok of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and bronze for Carla Navas of Panama. Virtually the same podium as we saw in Cottbus, but that reversal at the top. And for Georgieva and for Anne, it is very, very good news for their Paris prospects. But someone's triumph is another's heartbreak, and that is the brutal and sad reality of Olympic qualification. It's why we love sport for its drama. It's why it makes us feel so much. And it's why we have to always sympathise with the person who misses out. Cofton wins. Zoe is second on the execution tie-break. Young Barajas is in great company on the podium. What a super result for him. It's going to be very interesting going to the Doha World Cup when it comes to the parallel bars. And Cofton, we should point out, has beaten the Olympic champion, albeit in a very uncharacteristic routine from Zhou Jingyuan. More to come in Baku, much more to come. Let's have a look back at how the medals were won in the vault competition. Bronze again to the Panamanian Carla Navas. It is special work, that second vault. An Chang-ok of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea this time takes silver, but after 2 gold medals in Cairo and Cottbus, she's looking all right, better than all right. Did well to hold that. There is your champion, Valentina Georgieva. And it's the reaction after the second vault. Shame we didn't see it, but she really did let her emotions show. Emotions that must have been absolutely tested to the maximum and to the extreme over the last 18 months. We're due to begin the women's uneven bars and men's still rings finals in just under 10 minutes time. The junior world champion Angel Barajas of Colombia has done very well to take bronze on the parallel bars in this senior final, and that means he's got a 4th place and a 3rd place finish to put in the bank going to Doha. Zhou Jingyuan takes the silver medal. He had problems with his tip belt, not maintaining continuous hip rise through the handstand. Here it is, there. That absolutely is a full mark deduction. And that means that on the execution tie-break, it's Cofton who wins it with a 14.9. And that for Ilya Cofton is 3 out of 3 in the World Cups this season. Another overall World Cup series title going his way. On we go with the action in Baku at the National Gymnastics Arena. The finalists in the women's uneven bars competition. Caitlin Young of the United States of America, 4th best in qualification. Maisa Kusiko of Finland, the 7th best in the preliminary round. 2nd best in qualifying, Italy's Elisa Iorio. Levi Young Ruiviva of the Philippines, 6th best in qualifying. Jennifer Williams of Sweden, the 5th best in qualification. Vanessa Mashova, Czech Republic, the 8th best in qualifying. Du Seyu of the People's Republic of China, the 3rd best in the preliminary round. And the top qualifier and the champion in Cottbus, Kélia Nemor of Algeria. She'll be the last to go. Now, as for the men's still rings, 6th best in qualification, Omar Mohammed will get us underway. Lin Guanyi of Chinese Taipei, 5th best in qualifying, will go next. 8th best qualifier Igor Radivilov of Ukraine will be the 3rd to go. Great Britain's Harry Hepworth, 4th best in the preliminary round. Samir Aid Said of France, 3rd best in qualification, silver medalist in Cottbus, 5th in Cairo. Yor Hao, top qualifier. Chinese gymnast with a score of 15.033. His teammate Zhou Jingyuan will be next. He was the 7th best in qualification. And the 2nd best in qualifying, Salvatore Maresca of Italy, 14.6. So it gives you an idea of just how far ahead Yor Hao was. About 4/10 better than everyone else. The finalists in the uneven bars competition in Baku at the World Cup, which is also an Olympic qualification event. 2nd best in qualifying, Elisa Iorio of Italy will go 3rd in the order, and the top qualifier, without great surprise, Kélia Nemor of Algeria. She will be the last to go. 15.433 was her score in qualification. That almost a full mark, by a matter of a hundredths shy of a full mark, ahead of Elisa Iorio, the 2nd best. To the rings, and the top performer in qualification, Yor Hao, the Olympic silver medalist, will go number 6 in this final. And he was close to half a mark better than the 2nd best, Salvatore Maresca, who will be the last to go. Maresca, a World Championship runner-up in 2021. Well, we arrive rapidly at the last 2 finals of the day. It's been a very swift and efficient competition at the National Gymnastics Arena, as it always is. Just to look at the Olympic qualification picture here, it's quite complicated for the uneven bars. We remove from the picture Caitlin Yong, Elisa Yorio, Du Se-yu and Kaelian Nemor for different reasons. Yong, Yorio and Du are all representatives of teams that have secured a spot at the Games. They don't have named places themselves. Kaelian Nemor does have a named place. She qualified by finishing 8th in the all-around competition at the World Championships last year, so that is her spot and her spot alone. Therefore, 4 of the pack we remove from our thinking about the Olympiad right here. They will certainly be thinking of the Olympiad and hoping they can make it into their national teams in the case of the likes of Yong, Yorio and Du. That leaves us with Maisa Kuustikko, the Finn, who didn't make finals in Cairo or Cottbus. Liva Young-Riviva of the Philippines, who didn't make finals in Cairo and Cottbus. Jennifer Williams of Sweden, who made the beam final in Cottbus but hasn't made an uneven bars final. And Vanessa Mashova of the Czech Republic, who did make a final in Cottbus. And I'll do the same thing for the rings in just a moment. To the men's rings, we have Omar Mohamed of Egypt, from Chinese Taipei Lin Guanyi, from France Samir Ait Said. Those are the gymnasts who are attempting qualification for Paris through this route. The others, Igor Radivilov, Harry Hepworth, Yohao, Zorjin Yuen, Salvatore Maresca, all part of teams that have qualified. So here is Omar Mohamed, who was the first reserve in Cottbus. He goes into his planche nicely and into the Maltese cross. He's already competed at the Olympic Games, and he did it via the African Championships. And that is a route still open. But he's begun well. And he's finished well too. Omar Mohamed, the Egyptian, the dental student at Pharos University in the great city of Alexandria. We go to a young athlete from the United States of America, Caitlin Yong. Had a good start to the season on the uneven bars with the 3rd place finish at the Winter Cup, a domestic competition in the USA. Stolda Shaposhnikova. Pak Salto looking tidy enough. Van Leeuwen maybe just lost a little form. Straddle Jaeger somersault had a nice degree of fluidity to it. And her dismount was quite crisp. Lots of positives in that display from the Texan Caitlin Yong. Omar Mohammed, 14.3. He's a little better than qualification, and he's very pleased with that display. Just to remind you again, those gymnasts who are really thinking about Paris through this route: Mohammed, this gentleman, Lin, Samir Aid Said, who'll go in the second half of the final. And we must mention here that Nikita Simonov of the host nation of this World Cup, Azerbaijan, did not qualify for the final. He's the first reserve, and he won in Cottbus. And he won at his home World Cup last year. But he misses out on the chance to do it this time. So who will do it? Will it be this man? 23 from Chinese Taipei, Lin Guanyi. Grew up idolizing the great Uchimura Kohei. Nice level cross. Good planche as well. Slight flicker in the handstand. A moment of unsteadiness in the Maltese position. He's steady as he lands it. He's slightly piked, but plenty of good things from Lin Guanyi. 13.733 for Caitlin Yong. Execution is a little lower than qualification, difficulty the same. So overall a drop of just beyond 2/10.
And now please welcome representing Finland.
Maisa Kuusiko of Finland. 7th best in qualification, 14.433. .433, excuse me. Kachev just about had enough height. Pak Solto to follow it. Maloney. And then she adds a little difficulty to her work. Double layout was nice looking as well. Form seemed to get better as it went on. It's got interesting construction to it as a routine. Lin Guanyi 14.2. He's down by 1/10 from qualifying, so Omar Mohammed ahead of Lin. Lin, who was 27th in Cairo and 34th in Cottbus, so a tricky path for him, I think, to put it euphemistically. Igor Radivilov next to go. Eighth in qualification, 14.166. European champion over a decade ago, and the winner of well over 30 World Cup medals. The Ukraine men's team has qualified for the Games. Oh, Igor Radivilov. Problems with the dismount, unfortunately for him. And that will have him out of contention for a place on the podium almost certainly. 13.566 for Maisa Kustiko. It is an improvement from qualification of just over a tenth. We go to a gymnast who we have not seen for a while at international level. She competed at the World Championships last year. Elisa Yorio. Just a matter of a couple of weeks away from her 21st birthday. The pike Kachev, and then immediately transitions down to low back to high with purpose. Uses the Ezheva. And she dismounts soundly. Elisa Yorio was the second best in qualification, 14.466 with a 6.3 difficulty score. 13.166 for Igor Radivilov. So he's down by a full mark from qualification. He was basically exactly where he was for the entire routine apart from that landing. There is an opportunity here for someone like Harry Hepworth to get onto the podium. He was the fourth best in qualifying. Harry Hepworth, 14.3 in qualification. If he can go a tenth beyond that, he goes into the lead. Doesn't have the same difficulty as the very highest qualifiers, but his execution was very nice in qualifying. Goes from planche to Maltese to a level looking cross. Jonasson to Maltese. Again, levelness. Yamawaki to a handstand that looked very slightly lacking in symmetry, but it could just be the angle of the camera. And isn't that enjoyable from Harry Hepworth? It's got to be really strong from an execution point of view to go beyond Mohammed. Yorio 14.3, comfortably into the lead. No surprise there with her difficulty of 6.3. She's got some good combinations in that display.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Levi Ruiviva, representing Philippines.
Levi Young Ruiviva of the Philippines. Sixth best in qualification. First final of the season. Straddle, Jaeger somersault. And Akachev nicely performed to a pack salto. Van Leeuwen looked just a little tricky in places, and then unfortunately she loses the swingfulness. Only 17, this young athlete, born in Woodlands Hill in California in the USA. She finishes well, good recovery work. Bright and interesting individual. 14.266, not quite there for Harry Hepworth with the execution, but very marginal. 1/10 more and he would have been into a leading position. So Omar Mohammed doing a great job at this halfway point to be in the lead. But we have got the top 3 qualifiers to come in the second half of the men's rings final. For gymnasts like her from the Philippines, then there is the opportunity to qualify for the games through the Continental Championships.
Dear friends, we want to know your feelings about this competition. Let's applause for our stars.
.9. So it is a drop of about a mark and a half from qualification. That means Yorio leads with Yong second and Kusiko third. We still have to come the first and third strongest in qualification, Namor and Du. And concluding the rings final will be an absolute specialist from Italy, from the idiosyncratic and fascinating city of Napoli. Really is a vibrant place. Crowd at the National Gymnastics Arena waiting for the resumption and waiting for the chance to see one of the great in-form gymnasts in the world right now. The Algerian Kalia Namour. Her consistency has been a joy to behold. And what she does have is the luxury of knowing that a place is hers at the Olympiad. It gives her time to refine this routine, to explore the extra tenths she can add to difficulty here and there, which she's managed to do.
We continue our competition and please welcome first gymnast on ring, Samir Exaid, representing France.
Samir Aid Said of France, born close to the centre of Paris, now 34, and having carried the flag at the opening ceremony in Tokyo, he dreams of simply being there at his home games. He started well with a 5th place finish in Cairo and a silver medal in Cottbus. Throughout the course of his career, the Olympics have not been his friend. He's had injury issues at every single game, some of them really horrific, others minor things that have prevented him hitting his full level of performance. Even so, he still finished 4th at the Games in Tokyo, and he's looking good value to get back there for Paris. Well done to Samir Ait Said. Sweden's Jennifer Williams from Greater Stockholm, 18 and a veteran of 3 World Championships already. 5th best in qualification. Maloney and a Pax Salto follows it shortly after. Van Leeuwen. Straddle Jaeger somersault. And she dismounts quite securely. The job done well by Jennifer Williams, who scored 13.466 in the preliminary round. 14.633. We've got a new leader, Samir Ait Said. This brilliant campaign, going from strength to strength. To a 2-time Olympic medalist. Joao. Top qualifier comfortably, 15.033. He has full colours 3 times over at the World Championships, including being the bronze medalist in this event in Antwerp. What a beautiful level shoulder presentation on the inverted cross to start. Not having many problems so far. He's unusual in doing some layout work. Sets him apart. Very, very nice. Delightful, in fact, from Joao. Williams, 13.566. 3rd place for her. Still, Elisa Yorio leads. Caitlin Young is in 2nd position. Vanessa Mashova, 13.4 in qualification for the gymnast who was 6th in Cottbus. Just 15. Only made her senior international debut in Cairo. Didn't look completely secure going into that Jaeger, but she performed the release move well. She really is a gymnast who's making great progress. 2 years in a row, the reigning junior national champion on the uneven bars. There's no surprise that Yohao goes into the lead with 14.9. Aid Said in second place, but remember, Yo is not somebody who's trying to surpass him from an Olympic qualification point of view. Aid Said ahead of Mohammed. Two left. China's Zhou Jingyuan, 7th in qualification with 14.266. Didn't have his strongest ever display on the parallel bars. He did finish second on the rings at the World University Games in the city where he studies, or has studied, in Chengdu last year. It was a very smooth performance with a cracking dismount from Zhou Jingyuan. 13.133 for Vanessa Mashova. Just outside of the medals. 2 to go. From the People's Republic of China, Du Seyu, third best in qualification with 14.266. She is the reigning World Universities champion on the uneven bars. Pike Tkachev to the Pak Salto. To the Maloney. Didn't look, one would say, fully comfortable on the low bar. That was good pirouetting work. Again, just a tricky moment or two. And she does lunge forward rather on the landing. Du Seyu. A difficult routine, 6.4 in qualification. 14.866 for Zhou Jingyuan. He goes into second place with some very nice execution. So it is Yo, then Zhou, followed by Aid Said, with just this gentleman to go. Salvatore Maresca, 30 from Napoli, European Championship medalist, World Championship medalist, and the winner of the Baku World Cup in 2022. He's won a medal in every single World Cup event that he's taken part in on the rings. It's going to be tough to maintain that. It needs to be slightly better than qualification if he is to do it. This does look nice. Wasn't that a smooth move into the iron cross with the hands fully extended? Did he just slightly reset the planche? I think so. Beautiful handstand work. And a little low in his landing. He shakes his head, wondering if it's going to be sufficient. 13.3 for Du Seyu. Lots of execution deductions for those issues, particularly on the low bar, where she really took her time to get back up to the height. Now to the champion from Cottbus. The first ever Algerian to win a World Cup title. The first Algerian to be on a World Championship podium. Kaylin Amour. 15.433 in qualification. In Barstolder to the Nabieva, into the back salto. Then the Maloney. Pirouettes with elegance. And the Kachev into the Ezheva, and then she uses that Stolder Shaposhnikova with the half turn. It's over in an instant, and it's always a treat. It's efficient. It's so efficient. Pound for pound, second for second. It's extraordinary. 14.533. He just misses out, and he seemed to know he just missed out by his reaction at the end. Somebody of his experience, he knows what kind of a number it's going to be. Yohao over Zhou Jingyuan with 1 and 2 for China in the rings final, and a great result for Samir Aid Said of France, finishing third. I don't think there is too much doubt about the destination of the medals in the women's uneven bars. Just waiting for this last score to come in for Kaylin Amour. 15.433 in qualification. That's that in Barstolder to the Nabieva. She does right at the start. It's exactly the same as qualification. The consistency, honestly, is just extraordinary. She's won it so comfortably. She's won it by over a mark. The gold medal in the uneven bars competition to Kaylin Amour of Algeria. Elisa Yorio of Italy takes the silver medal, and Caitlin Yong of the United States of America is the bronze medalist. Really good performance from Jennifer Williams of Sweden, getting very close to a place on a podium for the first time at World Cup level. That should encourage her. And that just leaves us with the victory ceremonies to bring you in a moment or two. We've got 5 of them to come your way, so don't go too far away. Let's have a reminder of how the medals were won in this very engrossing rings final. Samir Aid Said of France taking bronze, an important result for him in his quest to make it to his home Olympiad. What a lovely reaction that was, the smile of utter relief at the end. Zhou Jingyuan, the silver medalist. Very elegant performance this. And beautiful, beautiful from Joao, that layout work in the centre of the routine, in the centre of the apparatus, emphasising why he is one of the absolute finest in the world on this apparatus. The bronze medal on the uneven bars won by Caitlin Yong of the United States of America. Her second World Cup honours after the floor title that she won in Hungary at the Szombathely World Cup the year before last. Second place and the silver medal went to Elisa Iorio of Italy. First World Cup event of the season for the Italian. Expected to be a key part of their selection process for Paris 2024. And this, frankly, never seemed in doubt. Her consistency is extraordinary. Ezheva into that Stolda Shaposhnikova with the half turn. The Stolda Shaposhnikova that for many will always be associated with the great Amy Chow, and that lovely double layout to conclude. And we'll bring you the victory ceremonies in just a moment or two, and the presentation of the AGF trophy as well, a special award given in Baku by the Azerbaijan Gymnastics Federation to the gymnasts with the highest execution score from qualification. We now begin the first of 5 victory ceremonies. The victory ceremony for the men's floor competition at the World Cup of Artistic Gymnastics in Baku, Azerbaijan. The winner of the bronze medal, Carlos Yulo of the Philippines, a gentleman who has been on top of the world, a champion on this apparatus. And to somebody who aspires to exactly that, Minami Kazuki of Japan, silver medalist, just as he has been twice at the World Championships. And the winner with one of the best performances that we've ever seen from him, Igor Sharamkov, individual neutral athlete, European Championship medalist. This was really high quality. He's been a World Cup champion. This is his 4th World Cup medal, and it's put him in a good position going into the last World Cup event, heading to Doha. And then, who knows who will be heading to Paris. The medalists in the men's floor competition at the National Gymnastics Arena in Baku, Azerbaijan. We'll move on now to the next of the victory ceremonies. The victory ceremony for the women's vault competition at the Baku World Cup. For the 2nd consecutive World Cup, Carla Navas of Panama wins the bronze medal. And Chang-ok of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea finishes 2nd, wins the silver medal and puts herself in a great place on the road to Paris, as does she, Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria. Silver in Cairo, silver in Cottbus, gold this time in Baku. She too can start to dream of the Olympic rings. And if that is her destiny, then my goodness me, she has worked for it. And she has refused to give up. We will now hear Mila Rodino, the national anthem of Bulgaria. And there they are, the medalists in the women's vault competition. Triumph at the Baku World Cup for Valentina Georgieva of Bulgaria. The victory ceremony for the men's parallel bars competition in Baku. The bronze medal to Angel Barajas of Colombia, the junior world champion on the parallel bars, starting to become a senior force. Zhou Jingyuan of the People's Republic of China, the reigning Olympic champion, taking second place on this occasion. But even when not fully at his best, he's hard to beat. Ilya Kovtun just about did it on the execution tiebreak. On this occasion, European champion beats Olympic champion. The medalists in the parallel bars competition. And long may we get to look forward to more rematches between Ilya Kovtun and Zhou Jingyuan. The victory ceremony for the uneven bars competition in Baku at the National Gymnastics Arena. The winner of the bronze medal, Caitlin Yong of the United States of America, the 17-year-old from the northern suburbs of Dallas in Texas, on a World Cup podium for the second time. Elisa Iorio of Italy, a World Championship medalist, taking silver on the uneven bars here in Baku. But it's her again. 2 in a row for Kélia Németh, already Paris-bound and a top contender. She won it by well over a mark. And we will now hear, played in her honour, Kasaman, or We Pledge, the national anthem of Algeria, written by Mufti Zakaria and Mohamed Fawzi in 1962.
tebrik ederim.
The final lines of the first verse: we are determined that Algeria should live. So be our witness, be our witness, be our witness. We are all witness to the vibrancy of this great Algerian, Kélian Imour. And her medal chance is always alive and well in any competition. The victory ceremony for the men's still rings competition in Baku. The winner of the bronze medal on the ring, Samir Aid Said of France. Olympic qualification going promisingly for him. The silver medal won by Zhou Jingyuan of the People's Republic of China. And the title goes to Yu Hao of the People's Republic of China, the two-time Olympic medalist. And we'll now have the national anthem of the People's Republic of China. The medalists in the men's still rings competition in Baku. And having now concluded the main ceremonies, we have the AGF ceremony. The award of the AGF trophy for the two gymnasts who had the highest execution scores in qualification. This is not part of the Olympic qualification process. It's not part of the official World Cup points tallies. It is a special gift from the Azerbaijan Gymnastics Federation, including to one of their own. to acknowledge the highest execution scores in the preliminary stage of the competition. And all of that brings to a close our coverage on this, the first day of finals action at the World Cup in Baku, Azerbaijan, in the National Gymnastics Arena. More to come tomorrow. 5 more finals on their way as Olympic qualification continues and we get closer and closer to Paris. For now, I will say thank you for your company and see you tomorrow.